We're rolling. Sweet. Okay, I'm seeing what kind of stock we got. I got some fresh, clean jars. I'm gonna be open in like an hour, so I better get myself. Yeah, so I gotta get myself cooking, baby. 15-pound roast. That's cool. I think we should do more than 15 pounds. So here's the deal. You're gonna select how much you put in the roaster based upon the flavors that you want to get out of it. Don't select this. Don't do the same mass every time. Be like, what do I want this to taste like? And then think about your weight and how that affects it. And it's pretty simple, you guys. Like, the lighter the mass, the less weight you put in it, you will have more variance in the flavor. It will be like super loud flavors, super present, and the bean is developed differently from the outside to the inside. Now, when you roast coffee, that's like what you're thinking about, okay? You're thinking, like, what are we doing? Well, we're cooking the beans. And how do you cook the beans in a roaster? You cook them from the outside of the bean. You heat it up, the moisture heats up the moisture next to it, and it slowly gets to the center of the bean. That's how you're cooking it, okay?
It's like popcorn where you wait for a few pops, or how's it go?
I think how popcorn, I think popcorn works like you're heating up the moisture. The moisture gets like to that essentially like the boiling point, and then it just goes pop, and it opens up. It's done. Where this is longer, slower, you do have a first crack. The first crack is the moisture H2O compound ripping apart. So there's something that's similar, transferable there with to popcorn. But the full development of the bean is just a little different. So what am I trying to say? How do we know that we are, yeah, hold it up there. I'm gonna open this thing up. You should go right up here. Ready? Keep it there. So how heat is transferred in a roast is by moisture. Heat touches a water molecule inside of the bean, the moisture, that heats up, it keeps going inward. All right. If you have a small amount of mass in a roaster, it's going to be a quicker roast. The heat transfer is going to be faster. You get to like the done temperature, but you're going to have more variance in that development from the outside to the inside of the bean. Now, if you put in way more mass, the variance of development between each bean within itself and from one bean to the next, all that variance goes down. So it's way more uniform. You also get a longer batch, which longer batches lead to uniformity. Bigger batches lead to uniformity. So let's say I take a big batch in relation to the size of my roaster, okay? So this is a 25-pound roaster. Let's say I take 24 pounds and put it in here. And I have a 24-pound batch. I'm going to go to 405 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm cranking up the heat, tons of heat, open up the airflow once I get it going, just go as fast as I can. Ooh. Now the next batch, I do 24-pound batch, and I apply my heat differently and stretch the thing out. The shorter batch is going to have more variance and more things happening with it than the longer batch, because just time alone is going to knock down variance, make things more uniform, fill them out more. But mass does the same thing too. So now let's say that I have my fast roast 24-pound batch, and I'm going to compare that to a 12-pound batch. Half the mass is going in the roaster. I'm going as fast as I can. I get to 405, boom, drop it. Now, both of these coffees are the same coffee. Okay? The beans are talking to me. They need me to change something, so okay, I gotta listen. I got a 24-pound batch, I got a 12-pound batch, I go to the same end temp, and I'm going as fast as I can in both cases. This smaller mass, faster batch, though I went to the same temperature, is going to taste with more variance, have more vibrancy than the 24-pound batch to the same temperature. Mass is a factor in your flavors and in what's happening in the cup. So it's just that simple. So instead of avoiding all of that, you'd be like, ask yourself, what do I want this to taste like? You know what I mean? What do I want this to taste like? Well, I think so. I'm talking about now this Nicaragua, this batch, high temp roast to put on the table today for people to drink next to this Nicaragua, low temp. I put in 16 pounds of coffee. 16 pounds of coffee. 17 pounds of coffee. Totally different than 12 pounds. Even, 15 on this roaster, 15 pounds is really different from 18 pounds. They're just like, it's just a few pounds, but it's right in that sweet spot of ratio where I would suspect if I put 5 pounds in here or 7 pounds, that'd be pretty different. 5 to 6 pounds, no big deal. They're going to be pretty close to each other. 15 to 17 pounds, 15 to 16 pounds, you're going to, I don't know, maybe it's not as, there's a spot in this roaster, and probably every roaster, where like, maybe it's better to be like from 24 pounds to 25 pounds in this roaster, you're really going to tell the difference. You're going to really have to consider that, like, what is our starting temperature at? How hard am I putting the flame? How long does that high temp flame hit? Mass is a factor. The resultant flavor. Get comfortable with adjusting your mass. So, like, let's just say you can't just sit and pick how much you're going to weigh. You have to systematize it. Okay, that's totally fine. Then I would be like, systematically, I would be saying my lower temperature roasts from Africa, I am going to do lighter batches because I just want those coffees when they're on my menu, on my customers to know those are going to be the most vibrant, loud, boom coffees that I got. Okay. And then when I do Centrals or when I do South American coffees, I'm going to, instead of doing a 12-pound batch, I'm always throwing a 16-pound batch. So, like, you see, you can still be systematic. You can still make parameters that make very unique menus and very amazing presentations to customers with still including variants like maps. You know what I mean? So you're able to do, like, you use the factor and then you're like, well, I can't just do whatever I want. I can't just, okay, that's fine. Cool. How about you then make some categories? All washed coffees, 16 pounds. All naturals, 14 pounds. Okay, like that, that's gonna give your coffee a character to it. Me personally, I'm like, my customers, and I would say most people. This goes back to my question I was asking before. Who am I gonna get in trouble with? Like, who's gonna get mad at me if things aren't consistent? The farmer isn't mad at me. The customer isn't mad at me, dude. We have said to people, this is supposed to be really consistent. That's what we have done. I'm opening up the airflow, right? 646 time wise, 307. We just hit the second phase, 436. I'm going to go up to 50% airflow, and I'm going to I'm going to pull my flame down. Flame's coming down to like 3.4 inches. All right, so I'm lowering my flame. I'm opening up my airflow. I'm doing that because I'm calculating how far do I have to go from 449 degrees in the environment to what I am determining as my top temperature. So like, how much room do I have to grow there? How far do I have to go before I'm at my finish roast temperature? How hard am I pushing these things? And the type of environment that we're creating through our air situation. Okay. So with those things, I'm just going back to like, all right, these are the same Nicaraguan beans. I want to stretch things out, but I also want to like keep them pushed. I don't want to stall anything out. So I'm going to back my flame off to a point which I know I'm still going to be pushing. I'm opening my airflow up to know I'm going to be pulling enough air through the roaster that I'm going to be developing the beans fully. And we're not going to stall out. We're doing great. We're like 8 minutes in, halfway through. So I'm going to dump this back into this bin. Now, I think that customers, especially if I'm talking about a household, there's plenty of people who desire to have like, oh, I want that same cup of coffee every morning. Sure, like I totally get that. But a lot of people who are drinking specialty coffee, and just a lot of people in general, they're like, when they want to, it's like they want to have some variance. They want to experience what else is out there. That's why people swap. You go to one roaster for a while, they check out some other people's coffee. You go to a new city, you drink some people's stuff. Like it's like what you do. If you're into coffee, you want to try all these different things. But so why not within your own roasting operation give people like a whole set of expressions of the same coffee? You know, it doesn't. There's like my customers, they come here and they're looking for like, ooh, what's fresh? What do you got on? Like anything new? What's and they come to know a bean, and then they also are like, oh man, I love that one at low temps. Like I want to try high temps. They're like, I always drink high temps. I want to try something like they realize that like today's table with today's coffee are today's, and like next week's will be next week's, tomorrow's will be tomorrow, and what's in their cupboard is like what's in their cupboard now, and like that is the correct view of coffee. That is correct. You should only be looking at a coffee as honestly as that moment. This coffee right here that I brewed up. Now, should I compare how it tastes right now to how it tasted 2 hours ago when I brewed it up? Should I? I would say no way, man. No way. Because like it was hot, now it's room temperature. Okay, well, should I take that bag that I roasted and compare it from? Should today's coffee be the same as tomorrow's, even though it's from the same bag? And it's like, dude, it's gonna taste different. It's just gonna taste different. What about last week's roast versus this week's roast? So, dude, they're different roasts now. What about last year's crop? When I drank this coffee from this farm last year, what it tastes like this year? Like, dude, this is an agricultural product, man. Like, it's always changing and year to year. So, how can you correctly judge? How do we correctly engage with coffee? You engage with it in the moment for what it is, as it is right now, and that's just how. Like, that's how you do it. So, what is this? I'm gonna judge this coffee. Like, it's like, yeah, you know, when it was hot and I was drinking it, was all right. But man, lukewarm room temperature, it's so good right now. Like, why is that? It's like, I don't know, man. It's just how it is. Like, throw some ice cubes in it and drink it, man. So, customers 100% are able to conceptualize what I'm saying is true about coffee, that it's always changing. So don't think your customers are going to be mad at you. Now, what is our end? What are we trying to do? We aren't trying to like make a bunch of different coffees that taste bad. Some are bad, some are good. No, man. We're trying to make the best coffee we can possibly make. That's the goal. Okay? So, with that being the goal, and with I take the set of knowledge that I have right now, and I'm pushing out what I know, and I taste it, and I push out. Then my knowledge is growing, and now I'm still making good coffee. I haven't jumped to some space that I have no idea and giving that to people. I'm like expanding a set of knowledge in this direction. I cup and I drink and I try it and I'm okay, and then I go over here and I try these approaches with all these different coffees and I drink them, and then you create this whole base of knowledge around trying to make the best coffee for customers, freeing yourself from trying to make the same coffee every time you roast, dude. Like, just don't do that. Don't try to make the same coffee. It's not happening. And as an end to go to, it's like free yourself, man.
It's like an artistic expression.
Exactly, because roasting coffee is art. This is like painting. This is like throwing pottery, man. Like, this is a unique, singular thing. Woo! Dude, boom. All right, man. So check this out. High temp roast. Finished roast temperature is 418 on this, okay? 418. It took me 13 minutes and 31 seconds to go to 418. Now, the last roast that I did, high temp Nick, the last roast I did was 1 minute shorter, and it was 20 degrees lower. Tell me, like, that is like, we're like 1 minute higher, 1 minute longer, 20 degrees higher, high temp roast. Totally different than 20 degrees lower, 1 minute shorter. Like, the variance in that and how we applied our heat, how we did our airflow, how much mass was in here, we're looking at two completely different expressions of the same coffee, man. And look at how big and full. And I wouldn't even really say, like, these aren't like dark, but man, these things are developed. They are beautiful and very different from the previous batch of the same exact coffee. Same exact coffee, 20 degrees higher, and just one added. But it's not like it's not like I was like, in 1 minute, I went up 20 degrees. It wasn't like that. It's the entire approach to how are we moving energy in the roast? How are we transferring energy to these beans in that 13 and a half minutes is very different from how we were moving energy and transferring heat in that lower mass roast that was for 12 minutes, resulting in a totally different expression, which we're going to drink this. We're going to look back at our notes. We're going to remember what we did, and we're going to ask ourselves, like, do we like it? What do we like about it? What's different? How does it compare to the last one we did? And I'm going to, oh, yeah, okay, like, I remember, like, that. I'm going to take that little blip, little speck of data and knowledge and just tuck it away and, like, expand my knowledge just a little bit. You keep doing that over and over because it's art. But we gotta create skill, you know. So, all right, one more batch. Let's do it.